Hey, good morning. I'm Johnny Scoville, and this is Chase Lee. Good to see you all. Probably should have blown my nose before we got started. Thank you. Yeah, I guess so. Would have been good timing, right? Hey, I'm happy. I prepared some notes. Thank you for being here. Anybody, could give me a 5x5. That would be terrific. Brock Bandy, KM, Jane, good to see you. Artie's mom. What a good start. All right, people. I got a fun one. It's interesting how this came together. Thank you, Cindy. Hello, Roberta. Cindy G, I'm glad you're here. All of you, I'm glad you're here. All right, so I'm going to get right into it because I don't know how the signal is going to be. We're just going to do it. WW, another day, another chance. What a great comment. Look at that. WW, thank you for being here. W squared, maybe. W to the second power. All right, so here we go. We got Jane. Hello. We're going to jump right into it. Marty Mongoose. Listen, I'm going to kind of focus on this because I don't know how long the signal is going to, or how good the signal is. So towards the end, if you have something important, capital C's would be great for a comment, capital Q's for a question. King Alpha, good to see you. And there is the guru, Tommy Scoville. He's here. He can yell at me. All right, so listen, here's the deal. Have we been wrong about addiction? I don't really know. But you know what? Since I moved here to South America, I've learned a few things. I really have. It's funny. I said to Tommy, let me tell you what he asked me, what are you doing for your show? I said, let me tell you what I got. He went, oh boy, here we go. So, hi, Arwa. Hello, Barella. Hi, who was that, Styling? It was Styling. How cool. Thank you for being here. All right. So, before Tommy and I moved, it's interesting. We were checking out expat forums to learn about where we were going, right? It was interesting. I saw somebody that said, because a lot of people, and Tommy mentioned it, they'll come here thinking they're going to party their skulls off. And I saw somebody, I put it in quotes. It's in quotes because this is exactly what it said. This expat said, you might want to come here and see if you're actually addicted. What? Like, what is that? Huh? Now, it's interesting. When we got here, we continued to look at the expat forums because we want to learn. We're getting to know people, right? And since I got here, I started counting. I probably should have counted from the beginning. I saw 7 people, all right, 7 people who were addicts. Some were addicted to opiates, right? Some to alcohol and some to cocaine. And there goes the monetization of this show, but it is what it is. One person that was addicted to opiates said that he has a gram of heroin in his medicine cabinet. He was an addict in the States. He has a gram of heroin in his medicine cabinet as a ripcord in case he has a migraine or just an excruciating day. He's had the same ball for a year. But how can that be, right? So another person that was an alcoholic, could not get through the day without drinking till he was drunk, blotto drunk. He's a casual drinker, drinks a couple times a month. And you say, well, how can that be, right? Another person who had a cocaine addiction was coming here because he heard that you can get cocaine for $20 a gram. I don't know if that's the truth. Look at monetization, Tommy says. I remember the word. I just don't remember what it means. And here, he doesn't do it at all. And it's like, how in the world can that be? So it got me sort of thinking. I know Tommy was usually a step ahead of me, but if I didn't do this, he would have, I'm sure, at some point. Do you guys remember hearing about, some people call it Rat Utopia? It was called Rat Park. It was Bruce Alexander. And he did a study where he had rats he put in a cage, and it wasn't food versus a pad where they could get a drug like Coke. What it was 2 water bottles. One had water in it, and they had food, obviously. One had water, and the other water bottle was a mixture of water and cocaine. And what happened is almost all the rats would just hit the water until they'd overdose. The water that had the drugs in it. Then what he did was they had a rat cage where they just loaded it up with, they had the 2 bottles of water, one real one with the drugs in it, but they had food and wheels to play on and things to crawl through and tunnels and females and other males. And what happened was most of the rats just lived a normal life. They'd hit the bottle, they had the drugs in it once in a while, but they lived. It was a balance. They even found that some of the rats that had an addiction would have ended up overdosing when they were put in the rat park, lived a normal life. So I'm thinking about it. I know Tommy has as well. So what causes that, right? So, it's escapism. Even it doesn't just happen in rats and people. It happens in cats. All right. Let me share with you this. Before we got Katie, Squirrel was a happy cat. We knew her schedule. We could tell you what she was going to do at any given point of the day. We knew it, like we could predict it. True story. Then we got that. She's laying right there in the basket. We got Katy Purry, the Maine Coon cat, the dopamine coon cat, we call it. You know what happened when we got Katie? The whole thing, we don't know their schedule now. I'm serious. They play. They're always running around doing stuff. They sleep at different times. And Squirrel, the personality completely changed. They're both more, I don't know what she was like before, but Squirrel's way more fun now. And I know that she has more fun in her life now than she did before Katie came. Escapism, right? I mean, in America, have you guys ever been to a movie? A good movie, right? 2 hours, the movie, if it's a good one, and you realize, wow, 2 hours just disappeared. That's what we're doing. We're trying to make time disappear. And that's the truth of it. Then you know how this whole look at the difference here. I'm not downing America. I love America, but I found what the difference is here. They aren't bombarded with like social or media BS about how you're supposed to look and what you should be doing and what's really important in your life, right? It's true. And I have a balcony right here. It looks over the beach, right? I can look down and see people. We walk on the Malecon all the time. And you know what we've seen over and over again? We've seen women, guys too. You see guys in Speedos that are very big, and you're like, wow, you gotta love that guy's, he feels good about himself. You see women though that in America would have a towel around them. They wouldn't be in a thong walking around. But here, they are, and the reason is Tommy mentioned earlier. There's no billboards here. You go to Guayaquil or Quito, you're going to see a few billboards, but it's not going to be like what we see where I'm from, where society tells women what they should look like. That's such a bummer because I don't care what you are right now, you're beautiful, and I'm serious, but it's different here, and it's got me thinking. It really has. It's got me thinking a lot. Comparison, Tommy says, the truth. The worst thing that ever happened to addiction was social media, because social media is a comparison machine. It's the truth. And, I've heard Tommy say it, but you always hear about how good things are and how great life is going, and the car you're driving and the place you own, the vacations you've been on, the meals you eat, the watch you wear, for real. And it's a comparison machine. It is what it is. But here it's not like that. It really isn't. It's just, and the condo that I'm living in right now, do you guys know that we picked it out before we got here? It was a miracle that it kind of happened. We found it, we came here, we loved it. But before we left, we were comparing this one to other condos on the strip. Like, how does it compare? We did. I'm telling you, we did. When we got here, you know what happened? There are 2 rooms in this condo we haven't even been in yet. I'm not even fooling you. But what we've learned, and part of it was probably going to the recovery center. But now when we walk, if we're out somewhere and we walk in, we look around and we go, we don't need to live in a place this big. We don't need to live where we live. You know what? If we had a teeny house, like 2 blocks in, we'd pay a fraction of the cost. And do you think we'd be any less happy? I promise you, we'd be just as happy. You see people here, like the living wage. We talk about the living wage. It's like $500 a month. If you make $500 a month, you can have a home, raise a family, have a car on $500 a month. You'll see people though that have nothing, especially if you compare it to American standards. They have nothing, and you almost feel like you feel bad. I got news for you. They're the happiest people in the world. You know why? Because there's no comparison. When we were out at the recovery center, they were trying to introduce Tommy and I, and we explained that we're YouTubers, and there are thousands of people that are praying for them. They were blown away by that. But you know what blew Tommy and I away? Tommy and I, they don't know what YouTube is. They've never heard of it. So they aren't tapped into social media. They don't see the comparison machine. And I'm telling you, it makes for a very different life. It really does. Now, in a perfect world, right? This isn't going to happen, by the way, but in a perfect world, they would do a really cool case study where they get a cross section of people around the United States and they say, look, for the next 2 years, we got all of your bills covered. Don't worry about any of it. We're going to put you in a place where, but that can't happen. You know what I mean? If they did that, maybe it would stop the comparison thing, but it's never going to happen. It's a shame that won't happen, right? What's the answer though, right? So I think this is the answer. Journal, peel your onion. What everybody needs to do is find out like who you are and what you are escaping. And more importantly, what are you doing to get that escape? I really think that's the answer. In fact, the way this it's not even going to be a long video, but the way this show was born was yesterday. We were in my room. We were walking out to the balcony. We usually go through my room because there's stuff here. But I was thinking, I walked by where my guitar is, and I said to Tommy, it occurred to me, I kind of feel guilty that I don't play guitar now. I played it once since I've been here, and I played it for 10 minutes. And it really was just to tune it because I hadn't touched it since I got here. You know what guitar? Now, back home, I'm telling you something. Back home, I played guitar 3 or 4 hours a day. And I said, I love it. It just brings joy to me. That was my escape. I wasn't using it anymore. I don't use now. But in the States, that was my escape. Look at this. If we did that cross section, even if you got rid of their bills, they would compare the bills you were paying for them to the bills you were paying for the other people. I'm serious. I'm not, again, please understand, I love the United States. I really, really do. I'll never not love it. But if I had $1 million in the United States, I'd be looking at people that have 5 million, comparing myself to them. If I had 5 million, I'd be looking at people that have 10 million. If I had $1 billion, I'd be looking at people that had 10 billion. That's what happens. It's a comparison machine. It's interesting. Do you find that interesting? I really do. You know, when Tommy started his channel, The Love Boat, he mentioned it. He was hard line, man. Sobriety. It's a razor edge. And there's been an evolution. You guys have seen it. A beautiful evolution. Now there's harm reduction. If you're drinking a case of beer a day, if you can drink a 6-pack a day, that's a whole lot better, right? You're reducing the harm. If you're somebody who has a crack habit and now you eat edibles, you trade one drug for another, there are people that say you're not sober. I say, what an amazing trade that was. So harm reduction, there's an evolution about addiction. I think we need to think. I think we need to look deeper into it. You know, when I was in the States with Tommy, we'd work out, not all the time, but we'd work out. I had a bike, we'd do push-ups. But you know why I was doing it? So I look better for other people. It's bizarre. It really is. And now we work out. You know why we work out now? Because I love this and I want to live longer. The whole thing has changed. You know, in the States, you know, Tommy and I are both YouTubers. You know what we focused on a lot in the States? What are your numbers like? How many views you had yesterday? How many subs? What your sub count like? Here, listen, if you do the sub count I have, people are fleeing. Now I'm picking up new people every day. I am, because there are people who like this message. But I have people fleeing. It doesn't bother me. In the morning, sometimes he goes, how did you lose last night? I'll say 50. Fist bump is the right 50 you're leaving. And it's an interesting thing. Everything has changed. So are we wrong about addiction? Here's the deal. I don't know. And you don't either. But you know what? You need to find out for yourself. And I think it starts by peeling your onion. Whatever you got to do to peel your onion. You got a closet with crap you've shoved in there your whole life. If you don't go in there and deal with it, you're never going to find out what the root of the problem. And that's going to, it's weird. It's just been like a paradigm shift for me. Bizarre. You know, the rat utopia thing sort of answered it. You know, it really did. Bruce Alexander, here's the thing. Addiction, it isn't about the chemical. You guys understand that? Addiction really isn't about the chemical. It's about your cage. And that's what was proven with the rat park test. The study. It wasn't about what was in the bottles. It was about their cage, right? So for me personally in America, it was about, there were things that I was trying to escape. And I did it by playing guitar. But that's the truth of it. I could be completely wrong. I could be completely full of crap. But this is what I'm feeling. Man, I think we're missing it. I really, really do. These expats that had an addiction that come here and don't, because their cage is different. It's pretty fascinating. Look at this. I couldn't be happy in a beautiful house on a golf course. I learned happiness in a cage. It's definitely found outside, or found inside, not outside. It's an inside job. Happiness is an inside job. It's the truth. So here's the thing. Connection, right? Purpose, stimulation, community. What that does is it protects against destructive behaviors, period. Isolation, you know what it does? It breeds addiction. But belonging is what heals addiction. Now, when COVID happened, man, there's so many people that had jobs. Remember when COVID happened? The pandemic. I wasn't demonetized for stuff earlier. That did it. But the pandemic happened and everybody got sent home. And a couple things happened. Companies realized, we don't need to have an office. You can do your job from your house. We can save money without having an office. So you're going to do your job from now on from your house. So a lot of people do the jobs from home. But there were so many people that do you understand how big isolation is? It's horrific. It leads to destructive behavior. And there's no way to quantify it, but I would be willing to wager the addiction rocketed after COVID happened because people were stuck in their cage. And so what do? If they didn't have a substance problem before, they would bring it in. Why? To try to escape that cage. But the cage isn't inside. You gotta go outside. I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea. Have we missed it? I think we have. Reading the expat forums, I'm going to keep counting because you wouldn't believe how many. You would not believe how many people had a problem. I don't anymore. I was drinking a case of beer. Now I have a couple of beers a month. So what is it? Man, it's escapism. Have you guys seen what's happened recently in Vegas? The Strip? Boy, is that escapism, right? It's falling apart. The numbers of people that are frequenting, going to vacation in Vegas is declining big time. I doubt it's because people are getting it. Maybe it's a financial issue. I'm not quite sure. But I'm telling you, find out, and you're only going to find this out by peeling your onion, getting down to the root of the problem, but find out what you are escaping from, and then take a good hard look at what are you doing in order to escape that. I know what I was escaping, and I know what I was using. There were times where I was using any substance I get my hands on. It didn't matter. Any of them. And when I got clean and got sober, I was still escaping stuff, but I was doing it through my guitar. I loved it. I love guitar, but do you think I miss it right now? I hate to even say it. It could hear me. It's in the closet. I touched it once for 10 minutes just to tune it. But that was my escape. And the funny thing was, when I was using a lot, guess what I wasn't doing? Playing guitar. I wasn't at all. Didn't touch it. You know why? Because all the substances I was using were taking care of that, was taking care of it. That was my escape. And so when I got clean and got sober, I needed to do something. I know I can pick up my guitar again. I got a lot better at it. It's really funny. If you look at I played a couple hundred times on the channel. Just pick beginning of a show, I would play guitar for a minute. If you look at the first time I did that, the very first show I ever did where I played guitar to the very last one, a phenomenal change in the quality of my playing, how much better I got, because I did it a lot, because I wasn't using. I had to do something. And that's what it was. So we were in my room yesterday, walking out to the patio, and he goes, what's your show going to be for in the morning? I told him this. He would, I swear, he went, oh boy, here we go. But it's amazing. I think I'm onto something. But what do you do about it? Here's the thing. I can't change the world, right? I can't. Guess who I can change? I can't get anybody sober. I've never gotten anybody sober. But guess who I can get sober? So the moral of the story is I can't fix the world, neither can you. You know, but boy, you can fix you. But it takes a concentrated effort. It isn't going to happen by accident. Your closet isn't going to swing open and all that junk's going to come out. You're just going to say, hey, this is the problem. Hey, sit down. I got a few minutes for you. I'm from your closet. I'm from 7th grade. Or whatever. It's not going to happen like that. So you have to go into your closet. You know, it's a metaphor for stuff you put away you don't want to think about, obviously. But you've got to take a look at it. You know, you can do it through, you know, I'm a big proponent of therapy. I think it's a gift to yourself, you know. But I'm telling you something. If you journal, and don't just journal, you got to read what you've journaled. It's the reading of what you've journaled. You're going to have that eureka aha moment. I mean it. But if you do that, and it's going to happen in 5 minutes, it takes time. It really does. But if you do it, what you're going to find is you will learn what it is you're trying to escape from. And it should be pretty obvious what you're doing in order to get that escape. It's interesting. It's just, and again, I could be completely wrong and I could be full of crap. You got to decide that for yourself. I can tell you that I don't feel like I'm wrong. And I don't feel like I'm full of crap. I don't. But you got to figure that out. You really do. So that was what caused Tommy to go, oh boy, here we go. Cindy says you can change but you can show them a path that worked for you. Maybe work for them. And when the problem is not belonging in your own skin, hard lesson learned. Yeah, you know what? I've never in my life, it's been a huge problem. I've never, ever been comfortable in my own skin. Part of it was that I grew up in a family of high achievers, you know, my mom and dad and my older sister and my younger sister. But my older sister, everything seemed easy for them. It did. Things that my sister did, my mom and dad, just seemed to happen for them. And I kept thinking, well, one day I'll get it. One day I'll figure it out. I never could figure it out. And as a result, I was wickedly uncomfortable in my own skin. So the minute when I was young in school, you know, home, I would sneak drink when I could and hide it. And the first time I did, I was like, wow, for 2 hours, I was comfortable in my own skin. And I went to bed and I woke up and I was not comfortable in my own skin again. So when I got to college, I thought, you know what? Mom and dad aren't around. I remember drinking when I was younger. I was like, there's got to be something out there. I knew that drinking wasn't the right drug for me. I went on a tear to try to find out the right drug for me. I did. I didn't have a checklist with drugs on it, but it was here, and I wanted to try it all. Isn't that crazy? If I was a kid now, growing up in today's world, I'd be dead quick because everything that's out there that kids can latch on to escape is going to kill you. And when I was a kid, you know what the gateway drug was? You'd roll it up. It was a joint. It was weed. That's truly what it was. That was the gateway drug when I was a kid. Now it's terrifying. You know what the gateway drug is now? You guys know? It's mom and dad's medicine cabinet. Why go out and buy it on the street? You can open the cabinet and see Vicodin or whatever. Perk 30s that your mom and dad never, took for a while, but stopped taking because they got over the pain or the surgery or the procedure, whatever, the muscle pull. And then what happens is kids realize, hey, those Perk 30s are amazing. They share it with friends. And those pills in the cabinet wear out. And they'll say, where'd the pills go? I don't know. And when that runs out, what do? You can't go to mom and say, hey, can you go to the doctor again and get some more of those Loratabs or some Perk 30? You can't do that anymore. You can't. So what happens is kids go where? They go to the street and they look for the Perk 30s. And what the problem is, the Perk 30s that you buy on the street, they aren't Perk 30s. They're loaded with stuff that's going to kill you. And that's the scary problem. 300 people a day. 300 people. Here's the thing. They've shut, the border shut down and a lot fewer people are coming across the border. Doesn't mean drugs aren't coming across. And even if not another drug came across the border, do you have any idea how much has already gotten in? It could supply the country for another 10 years. the dollar for what it's going to cost to get those would change because there'd be a limited supply because they're not coming over as much. Scary. Anyway, I could be completely off. I could be wrong as can be. I'm not wrong for me. I hate when people say my truth. Tell your truth. Because there's only a truth and then there's not the truth. But this is the truth. That's just me. Anyway, I want to know what your thoughts are. I've been ignoring the comment section completely. So if you've got something you've already said, if I scroll up to try to find stuff, I'm going to have a problem. So I don't want to do that. Keith Kingman, so good to see you. Silence says, that's right, Johnny. Fowler's here. Hope you're doing better today. Tommy's doing great, actually. What Tommy says, in prison, I watch guys huff gasoline. I watch guys that would get a hold of glue and sniff that because if they didn't do their drug of choice, they would take whatever they needed to escape. Boy, isn't that the truth? Or they would eat an entire bottle of antidepressants at once so they could feel different for a day. I remember the very first time I ever got a buzz from drinking. I remember it like I remember it. There was a party going on. Actually, the first time I ever got a buzz was probably like a little buzz. I used to go to my uncle. There'd be a party, all my family's around. I go to my uncle. Hey, can I have a sip of that? Yeah, you're a sip. Then I go to another uncle. Can I have a sip of that? By the time I hit the rounds, I go around for a sip, like a second round. I remember I'm onto something. And then we had a party once, and there was a lot of people. And I grabbed 2 beers, stick in my pocket, run up to my room, and hide them. I come back down, snag 2 more beers, run up to my room, hide them. And I do that 3 or 4 times. And at the end of the night, when everybody went to bed, party's over, I'd sit in my room with warm beer on the floor of my room and drink one after the other like it was a race because I knew there was that. So I'm like, okay, there is definitely a way for me to feel comfortable in my own skin. That was escaping. There's a way for me to escape. So I knew that there's a way, but I knew that alcohol was the wrong way, right? I've been addicted or abused everything there is because I was trying to figure, and the whole point, like I'm happier now. The dopamine buzz that I get, if you knew the dopamine high that Tommy and I got from going to the recovery center, it lasted 2 days. I'm not fooling. And you know how dopamine is. We've all done it. 2 days. If you knew how many times we looked at each other and was like, wow, was that crazy or what? The best drugs in the world is dopamine. It's your body's drug. It's like we all have a pharmacy in our body, but it's not an open door. You can just walk in and get what you want. You can't dial it up and say, hey, I want some more dopamine right now. It doesn't work that way. So people do things to get it. And sometimes the things we do to get it isn't good. I remember getting in fights in college because I knew it would give me dopamine. And I wouldn't want to go out and fight a guy who's smaller than me. I'd go out and find somebody that I knew could kick my butt and get into a fight. Sometimes I won. Sometimes I got my butt kicked, but it fed the need. Crazy, right? It's crazy. Peel your onion. Peel your onion. Do it however. If you got to go to a therapist to do it, peel your onion. Get to a therapist. If journaling helps, and I would suggest whether you go to a therapist or not, journal. I lied to Tommy for 2 years about it. He knew it too. You journaling? I say, yeah, he knew I wasn't. He called me too. You're a liar, man. What'd you write? Tell me your last entry. And he knew when I was just BSing it, right? Now I journal. Whatever you got to do, peel your onion, find out what you are escaping from, right? And then you'll know what you're doing in order to get that escape. And sometimes it may not be drugs. Sometimes it's going to the gym. I know people that are gym addicts. You know, it's amazing. Tommy says it was the only time since we've been here that there was not comfort surrounding us. And it was the happiest I've ever been in my life. Boy, it really was. People say that a lot. They'll say, oh, it's the best time I ever had in my life. How often does that really do? I'm telling you, that at that recovery center was the most intense, incredible moment I have ever had. It was nuts, and it lasted for 2 days. I woke up high as a kite. It's crazy. Marty Mongoose. Thank you, Johnny, and everyone here for making my days better. Can I tell you something, Marty Mongoose? When I see your name in the chat, it makes my day better. There's Lisa Trimble. I hope you're doing well, Lisa. Stay strong, girl. Good morning, Marty Mongoose and Lisa Trimble. Great to see you, says Tommy. Hi, Barbara. was nice to hear you this morning without that enormous undercurrent of pain in your voice. Boy, wasn't it nice that? I'll tell you what, though, it's what a fascinating thing that was. I wish you could have seen it. We walked in. They didn't say sit down. The reception, you go sit down for 15 minutes before they give you paperwork to fill out. There's a clipboard, 4 or 5 pages of stuff you got to fill out. You know what it was? Quick, let's go. He had a Spanish. He had the same translator app I do. So he would say something. I'm like, who's he talking to? Because it was just a partition right there. Tommy was sitting in the chair. I'd hear him say something in Spanish. The first, and he said, "What kind of music you like?" I went, "Hey, Tommy, he's asking you what kind of music you like." I knew. I'm getting better at understanding it. And then he would speak in the app, and then I hear him say, "Okay, breathe deep, relax. This is not going to hurt." I heard him say that. I was like, "Wow." And then I started. Boy, I'll tell you something. At one point, I look behind the curtain. I see Tommy like with his mouth open. The guy's got a wrench in there. And I was like, I sat in the waiting room doing this because I didn't want to hear my brother freaking out. But you know what? It didn't hurt him. When he got out, he said, "You're not going to believe this. It didn't hurt me at all. I felt nothing." The guy was so gentle. Look at Tommy says, "Yeah, I thank you guys. I feel fantastic. Not having that pain is a real buzz all of its own." Boy, it really is. The last 3 days, I hate to sound selfish, but the last 3 days were hard on me. Isn't that horrible? He was dying. I said to him the morning before that we had it, I looked at him. He looked terrible. I said, "What's your pain at?" I didn't need to say from 1 to 10. He knows. I said, "What's your pain at?" He went. He would have a bottle that he was swishing around and a bottle was spinning in it. And he did that and he would time it. And this was a good one. It didn't come back for a minute. Think about that. He did that for 3 days, living in 30-second intervals. It was bumming me out. I'm so glad he's better. Oh. Hi, Heather Rhodes. Good to see you this morning. She says hello and love to everybody. It's very, very cool. Glad you guys are here. Don't worry about your typos, Archie's mom. If you read my notes for today, a lot of typos. Usually typos just because I hit the wrong button on my phone, not when I'm writing. Cindy G. Barbara Wade, the jaws of life. Jeremy says, that is the way that doctors should be. Quick, accurate, and caring. Just a human and a human. I'll tell you something. If Tommy didn't need, and this is true, I really believe this. He said, "I need to write your prescription." And he goes, "What's your name?" Anyway. Already done. Finished. What's your name again? I think if it was the kind of a procedure where he didn't need any sort of prescription, he would have shaken our hand, we would have paid him, and we would have walked out. He never would have asked. I wish it could be like that where we're from. I really do. It's just not, got too big. And I get it. You can't work like that. I get it. You can't sue people here. Do you know it's weird. There's a lot of weird stuff here. We saw an accident. The first day we went to the terrible experience. We went to the mall. We didn't have a good time there. It's the first uncomfortable moment we had since we got here. But we saw the first fender bender. We were driving home and we saw 2 people out, a cab driver and just a citizen. And they were just hashing it out on their own. Cops didn't come. They were just figuring out how they were going to handle it. They don't have a credit score here. They don't have a credit score. If you buy a car, they walk in, look at them, "Hey, sit down. We can do something for you." Not bad. As a parent, I understand that completely, that love crosses other relationships, not just our children. It's a fact. Hi, Caroline. Good to see you. Barbara says, "We got screwed in the U.S. when the practice of medicine stopped being an art and turned into a business." But you know what, though? Here's the thing. It got too big. If you had a village of 100 people, do you think there'd be 7 pages of paperwork to fill out? There wouldn't even be a receptionist. You just come in, talk to the doctor, and get what you needed. But with 340 million people, it just became an animal so big. So I get it. What alternative is there? It's hard. It's a difficult one. Clip Ann, good to see you. Hey, Johnny, you're a good brother. You seem to have a special bond. Great to see. I'll tell you something. We do have a special bond. If you knew, just since we've been up today, and we got to 5 o'clock today, I think we got up. I'm not joking you. If you knew how many times, just since we got up today, I have stolen. It's almost a game now. We try to steal each other's thoughts before it happens. And all the time, it's like, oh, you got me. And probably a dozen times today. It's just amazing. We have a very cool bond. What do you mean you can't sue anyone with it? You can. If you got a problem, somebody crashes into your house, you got to work it out. If somebody, you aren't suing anybody here. It doesn't work like that. It's pretty bizarre. Caroline says, are the police in charge where you are? It's a different relationship. Like, they aren't out to get you. I've watched maybe 7 or 8 interactions that the police have had with motorists or people. If you're speeding, we were first we got here, we were in a hotel all the way down near Chipipi. It's so funny. The 13-year-old in me giggles every time I say Chipipi. We saw a guy speeding. We were watching it happen right in front of the hotel. And it was nighttime. I don't even know how fast he was going, but he was speeding. And the cops pulled him over. There was a couple cops, 2 different cops. They got him out of his car and yelled at him, chastised him, shaking a finger like your dad would do. Yelled at him for like 5 minutes. We're watching him. What's going to happen? After 5 minutes of yelling at him, telling him not to speed anymore, he got back in his car and drove off. So the police, there's certainly there's an absolute massive police presence, but they aren't here to ruin your day. They aren't here like you have a tag out. It's supposed to be, your tag is out. Do we got a ride today with a cab driver who didn't have a license plate. If you think I'm kidding, I swear to you, I'm not. So many cars you see driving around don't even have license plates on them. Half the motorcycles don't have a plate on them. They have bigger fish to fry. Here's my take. Here's what I think is going on. And again, I could be absolutely wrong. When a country is fully developed, like it was, where Tommy and I came from, when a country is fully developed and there's no more developing to do, let's turn our attention to people. And especially when you have 340 million, let's see what we have to monitor them. When you walk out of your house, if you live in a city, by the time you get home, at the end of the day, you've been caught on 150 cameras. You think I'm lying? I'm not. They want to know what you're watching, who you're talking to. Do you know that every single phone call you ever make, every text message you ever make is logged somewhere? I'm not fooling. It's the truth. So I think what happened so when you're fully developed, you turn your attention. How can you control the populace? And you need to when there's 340 million people. I get it. I do get it. Here, there's 40,000 people. It's a developing country. They have bigger fish to fry. I think it'll be 60 years before it's an issue like it is where we came from. So they're certainly in charge, so to speak. They can write tickets. They don't try to ruin your life. They really don't. Is there even such a thing as health insurance? Yes, there's free health insurance is free. Here we go. Tom's going to answer that. Whoops. There is absolutely health insurance here. Also, every single person here gets a type of health insurance automatically. Ecuador is the 25th in the world with medicine. The U.S. is 27th. But if you are 20th, I got the numbers wrong. It's higher. It's not only that, if you want to pay for it's free, but if you want to pay for health insurance, you can pay and get absolutely the kind of health insurance that a president or a rich person in the United States would get. It's pretty amazing that way. It's 20th. Which one's 20th? Ecuador? And America? Ecuador is 20th and the United States is 27th. I love that. Working with people, the police yelling. It's a funny thing. I actually, one day at Tommy's bedroom, I'm looking down. I have a video of it too. I was looking out and 2 guys on a motorcycle were driving by. A couple cops pulled them over and I was videotaping for someone I know. I said, watch this. I predicted, I said, they're going to get off their bikes. They're going to yell at the 2 guys that they pulled over for 5 minutes. They're going to get back on their bikes and drive away. And I swear to you, exactly how it happened. They have bigger fish to fry. They aren't. If you get a tag out in America, let's put you in the system so we know what you're doing. It's just not like that here. Are the guns? Nope. I've not heard one gunshot since I've been here. Now, is that a good thing? It's really, in America, when I lived in America, I was like, guns are super important. Don't even think about taking them away. That's how I felt. Here, I'm so glad nobody has guns. I feel so safe here. You can't even begin to imagine. And please understand, I love America big time. I really, really do. but I'm far more comfortable here. I'm never going to be followed to church by a cop who wants to see what I'm doing, see who's getting out of my car with me. It's never going to happen. Are you guys going to make me up and move there too? Like, for real, it's making more and more sense, even for my wacky situation. You know what? I got to tell you something. This is not for everybody. The United States is a beautiful country, but I got to tell you something. I'm not sure it was made for guys like Tommy and I. Even though I walked straight line. I didn't break the law, right? I was still always worried that something could jump up and snag me. I swear, I always felt like that. I was always worried, how can I get caught? Even though I wasn't doing anything wrong. I don't live any differently here. I don't do anything wrong. But I don't worry about that. I know I'm not going to get followed when I leave my apartment. It's amazing. This is funny. Half the police force carries guns. The other half does not. It's really amazing. It's an unbelievable experience. There you go. Brock remembers. Brock was the one I made that video for, about the cops out of the back window. It wasn't suitable to put on the channel, but I sent it to Brock. Remember I said that? I'm like, watch this. Tommy says, the only drawback that I have seen so far is that you have to get used to the fact that no one's in a hurry. Yeah, we call it manana time. It's manana time. So if someone says, we'll have lunch tomorrow at noon, it could mean 12. It could mean 2:30. And nobody gets tense. You don't say, hey, it's 12 o'clock. Where are you? I had a friend, man, when I was in the country, in the United States, I had a friend named Matt. When I lived in San Antonio, he was tragically late all the time. He thought it was, I don't know if it was, he thought it was fashionable. I don't know what the deal was, but he was late all the time. And one day I was meeting him at Chili's. It was right before I moved out of that town. And I said, we're going to, 7 o'clock we were meeting. I remember this. I said, dude, listen, I know how you are. I'll see you at 7 o'clock. At 7:01, I'm gone. Do you understand me? He goes, I'll be there. 7 o'clock happened. I'm looking at my watch. 7:01 happened. I left. I caught him on the way in and went back in and saw him. But that's how I was. If I said you're going to meet me at 7:01, you're late. So that's the biggest change. He's really right. That's the biggest change. It's amazing. Jade. It's a very fascinating, it's been a very, I would not have had that revelation about like the guitar. That was my escape. I would not have had that. Never would have occurred to me in the States. Hi, Kellyanne. Kellyanne should be a stand-up comic. Good Lord. The roast she gave me the other night, I'm still laughing. Cindy says, you are both needed there. You are where you belong. Well, I'll tell you something. I really believe that. Most legislation is just a money grab. I mean, I don't know how many laws are on the books here. It's just such a different experience. It really, really is. There's such a thing called Fowler time. Exactly 2 hours after the predicted time, my whole family is on the laid back side as well. I'm getting used to it now, but that took a while. Not even fooling you. That took a while to get used to. True story. But I'm used to it now. I don't get tense. Not at all. It's a fascinating thing. All right, guys, I appreciate you being here. So, I don't know if we got it wrong. I think we got it wrong. I think the Bruce Alexander study, Rat Park, that didn't say, hey, we got it wrong. If it works for my cats, squirrel, I could tell you what squirrel was doing. It's like 10 o'clock. She's going to be following the sunlight around the house we could tell you what she was going to do. We got Katie. I promise you Squirrel is happier. I promise you she's happier. And you know what? Bet you $1,000 she's going to end up there's no way to quantify this again. I'll guarantee you Squirrel is going to live longer now that we have Katie. I mean it. Than if we hadn't got her. Do you know what, Johnny and I are definitely where we're supposed to be? I definitely need Ecuador more than Ecuador needs me. Yeah, this has been a beautiful thing for my soul. Me too. It's changed me so much more than I thought it was going to. And the things that I thought were important while I was in the States before I got here weren't important. It's an amazing thing. Brock says, so Jeremy, if you're saying if someone wants you to show up before, they got to tell you too. That's funny. It doesn't sound like a nanny state. Boy, it's not. I don't know what they'd call it, but it's just a different experience, some part of me wishes I come here 20 years ago. There's another part of me that thinks I got here right on time. You know, it's funny when we first were told about the recovery center, I said to Tommy, man, maybe this is the reason we're here. And then last Thursday at the recovery center, we didn't stay in the car on the way home because we had Gary driving, but we got in the house and I'm like, there's no doubt this is why we're here. It's like, you bet. This has been really interesting. Johnny deserves more thought. I agree. Thank you, Jane. I really appreciate you a lot. Jane is so awesome. You guys have no idea how awesome Jane is. I'm not eloquent enough to express it. In Ecuador, if you want someone to show up at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, you should probably tell them you want to see him on Sunday. That's funny. It really is. But anyway, you guys, peel your onion, please. It's worth it. Everybody's got a closet that's full of crap. Open the closet. Peel your onion, find out what it is you're escaping from. Look at what you're doing to make that escape happen. And I'm telling you, it's the start of happy, right? Let me finish with this one more time. Connection, purpose, stimulation, and community protects against destructive behaviors. Isolation breeds addiction. Belonging heals it. I love you guys. Be kind to somebody today, okay? See you guys tonight. I am Johnny Scoble, and this is Chase the Heat Zone.